Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything. Today continuing our series in drawing every country in the world's flag, and we're going deep down under to do Australia today. Alright, so we all know about Australia. It does have a Union Jack inspired flag, so I always like the Union Jack. So we'll just, it's got a long flag, so we'll just start with that. Yeah, and this is the first one. Off the top of my head, I know Australia has it, New Zealand, Fiji, and then of course the UK proper. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of want to do this in pencil first because this does get a little tricky. Yeah, it's about halfway in the middle, and then about halfway the other way. Okay, so Australia, Aboriginal people, they settled there around 60,000 years ago, and they are still there today, and it actually does cause some issues with the governing parties that are there. You know, there's been a lot of history of like forced migration. You know, sending the Aboriginals out, and yeah, you know what, like, and they always want government assistance and whatnot. I say if they want to live in Stone Age conditions, let them, and then let them fend for themselves. But yeah, it's not a popular view anymore in the 21st century. The international community doesn't like that. But yeah, we don't care about that kind of stuff here. The Dutch actually arrive in 1606. And you're thinking, James, I thought the British arrived in Australia. Well, they do. That comes a little bit later. The Dutch were actually there first. They arrive in like some of the northern parts of Australia, and then they don't set up any permanent settlements in Australia. So Dutch Australia, that kind of never really takes off. And hold on, guys, this gets a little tricky here. I think I'm actually gonna switch to a fine point. All right, so yeah, it's not exactly symmetrical either. The Union Jack, so like part of it kind of comes to a point like over here, but then it's not the same on the opposing end. Alright, so yeah, here, let's see, so it starts a little bit lower. Yeah, and I always think of, you know, as far as like where Australia is, just kind of one of those weird things in history. Like, it's kind of surprising that Australia never became like an Islamic country, because it's like where all the trade routes and all that kind of go. You know, Britain kind of being all the way over on the other side of the world there. It is kind of interesting that Europeans were the ones to settle Australia, or even like India or something. But India's empire, that's not really how they do things. Never really expanded out like that. Okay, so now let's see, it's got another one over here, and again, it does not come out of the corner like perfectly. It does. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to do this a few times, guys, because again, there's a bunch of these flags that have the Union Jack on them. So Australia is still a Commonwealth country. Yeah, 1770. So 1770 is when the Englishman James Cook arrives. So he's pretty much considered like the father of Australia. Establishes some colonies there. We all know about the British kind of using it for like a penal colony. They did send prisoners there. Not all of Australia. Mostly in like Tasmania, which Tasmania is like a little island underneath or to the south of mainland Australia. Australia does have its own provinces, a lot like Canada. And then prior to forming like a unified Australia, a lot of those colonies just kind of had their own governments. In 1901, Australia becomes the Commonwealth of Australia. So more in common with like the United States, like a kind of like a federation, a system of local governments with a central government overseeing some things. Shouldn't come as too much of a surprise because the Australians having all that British DNA in their political institutions, same as America, they kind of put a very similar system into place. Australia is involved in both World War I and II, right? So that's kind of strategically, that would be, if you're using your military mind, it would be advantageous to have a base there, right? Because it's that opens you up to the Pacific Theater, which Pacific Theater, you definitely think more World War II than you do World War I, but there was a Pacific Theater in World War I, but it's just not really talked about too much. Because Germany did have a Pacific Empire at one point. They at least tried to. It never really took off. We'll talk about that some other time because I think that's kind of a cool story. And okay, this is taking me some time here, and I do apologize, guys. My voice sounds a little off today. Just battling a little bit of a cold here. But, James drives everything. We don't take days off. We get it done. Speaking of getting it done, I think this is, the fourth page that we finished? Or that we're going to finish. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, James. We're not done yet. We're getting there. Yeah, and as you can see, so like the Union Jack, it's got like a thin white line over here, and then like a fatter white side over here. And then on the reverse, it has like the fatter part on this side and the thinner part on the inside. So it's not like a completely symmetrical flag. There are some little quirks and intricacies to it. Okay. And then we just got one more of these to do. I can't remember if the other ones were easier or harder in Australia, so we got a lot more stuff to do too on this one. So there's our Union Jack. So the Union Jack, we'll get more into detail about exactly what the Union Jack means whenever we do the UK, whenever we do that episode. But for the purposes of our Australia video, the Union Jack, just means that it's part of the Commonwealth, right? So it's part of the Commonwealth of Great Britain. And it's got a bunch of stars on the flag as well. So I'm just gonna go nice and tight up to those lines, and then we'll just hit it with a fat marker at the end. Okay, so there's that. Let me just switch real quick here. So the star depicts 1 point for each of the 6 original states, and then 1 representing all of Australia's internal and external territories. Okay, so it's kind of what the stars mean. And I do like the Union Jack. I think it is a cool design, right? Kind of simple, but there's still a lot going on too. It's not just like a boring tricolor flag. It's immediately recognizable too. Like you see that and you think, oh, Britain, right? You don't even think more than 2 seconds about it. Yeah, so Australia is home to a lot of cool critters. Right, there's a lot of stuff in Australia that really doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, as far as like marsupials, kangaroos, platypus. They've got that coral reef there too. Boy, this has got a lot. Yeah, was it the Great Barrier Reef? If you want to count that as like a living thing, which I mean I guess it is, but yeah, they say it's like the largest living thing in the world, because it's the size of like the entire continent. I think it's a bit of a cheat though. It's not really like a an animal, I guess. Depends how you just want to use your classifications there. Man, James, you should have had some stencils ready to go for this one today. Definitely would have helped speed things up a bit. Well, we'll manage. And then, just because they have to be weird, there's one little star off to the side there, and that's more of like your traditional 5-pointed star. Okay, so now we're almost done. I did have a request to do Australia. So when I was sitting down thinking of what to do today, I said, hey, let me honor that request. So if you do have requests for countries that you want to see in the future, drop a comment. You can send me an email, jamesdrawseverything at gmail.com. Fan-friendly channel, of course. Oh boy, still got 2 more of these friggin' things. All right. Yeah, I just like to use the finer point just to get into all those little nooks and crannies on the star, and then we'll just color it all at the end with the wider side of the marker. Just don't want to run over these stars. Okay, is that it? Are we done yet? Almost. In Australia, they do provide a lot of assistance to like a lot of the other Pacific Island countries. Especially like some of those really small ones. Like whenever they're threatened by like some nasty weather patterns, like my homeboys Kiribati, Australia does offer relief and temporary like migration if needed. So they're kind of like the big watchdog of the Pacific, along with Japan and China. Right, and the United States, very close allies with Australia as well. They are one of the bigger countries in the world as far as like their economy, and they are a first world country, of course. Okay, so let's see. I think we're just about done. Let me just. Okay. Alright, everybody. So, was this the hardest flag that we've had to draw so far? I think it might be. Yeah, that Bhutan flag was kind of hard, but I had more of like an organic drawing to it. This is just a lot of crazy lines and stars in weird places, and not all the same size. They're not even all the same type of stars. But we got it done. Alright, and we are done with page 4 as well. So tomorrow we're going to be starting a brand new page. We're getting there, ever so closer to reaching our goal, every country in the world's flag. All right, everyone. So that is Australia. I'm just going to get rid of those lines here. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.